site 1A of my Parabolic Dune / sand Chevron survey. Getting ready to collect some sand, and you guys are watching the Dabbler's Den. All right, hey, it's a beautiful day here in South Carolina. I got up this morning early. I'm on my way up to White Pond for an archaeological dig with Dr. Chris Moore, Dr. Mark Brooks, the guys from the 7 Ages. I'm really looking forward to heading up there and seeing those guys. But on the way up, I needed to stop and collect some sand sediments for a paper that Antonio Zamora and I are going to be working on, and hopefully with a few others. I'm like right in the middle of one of these Parabolic Dune / Chevron features, and it's pretty incredible to think that this much sand was moved in a relatively short amount of time, and could possibly be even within a few seconds. So anyways, what we're going to do today is go ahead and I'm going to head out into the woods here a little bit, find a nice elevated area, clear off like the first 6 inches or so, and then fill up a 5-gallon bucket here full of as much vertical sand as I can get in that bucket, and we're going to take these buckets back to the lab and use a sand sift and sieve out all of the material. And what we're hoping to find is pieces of pebbles, about this size, which this is pretty promising. I got out of the truck right here, right next to a railroad trestle. And I'm actually on the top of one of these ridges. I don't want to dig right here next to the railroad just because they probably moved a lot of material as they were building the railroad. But I'm going to go into the woods here and find a nice elevated area to start digging down. And again, we're looking for pieces of pebbles about this size. Again, I just found this right here in the sand as I got out of the truck. And I would find this very difficult to imagine being blown by wind processes from its source miles away. So I'm gonna go and get into this. I'm not gonna talk much more about it. I'm gonna go in there. I've got 6 sites we're gonna sample over the next few days, and I'm gonna put them all into this video. The White Pond archaeological dig with those other guys, I'm gonna put on a separate video. So anyways, this is site 1A. I'll try to take a picture and some short videos of the other 5 sites, and then wrap it up at the end. So we'll catch you here in a little bit. Bye. All right, guys, I found a nice suitable spot here. Like I said, it's there's all kinds of undulation going on here, but I found a nice high spot. I'm going to clear away about 6 inches and then just fill up that bucket with as much sand as possible and head on to the next site. All right, you can see this is the hole I dug for site 1A. There's the bucket with the sediment. You can see that's about 4 feet down. So I got a good bit of sediment in that bucket. A little bit over off to the side. Like I said, I'm gonna do the same thing for the other sites, and stick around. So I'm back in the lab now. We went and collected 2 buckets of sand from 3 different sites. And that was a couple weeks ago. When I brought it back here, I had my students sift through all of the sand, 1 bucket at a time. And we looked for anything that had a grain size bigger than 3.35 millimeters. So anything that got caught on these screens, we took out. We did find a couple really cool things. One of the biggest rocks that we found actually came from my site 2B, which is the second site at the second location. And you can see here, this is a pretty good sized rock. I'll go ahead and put the images that I took from these different, everything that I found that was over the largest grain size. I did that, and after my students went through all the buckets to find all the large grains, we wanted to find out what the percentages were for the other grains, and that's what this is for. This is a sand sifter. Each one of these screens is smaller than the other one. Okay, for my actual data collection, I collected 500 grams from each of the buckets to sieve and separate out by grains. But for this quick demonstration, I only measured out 200 grams just because it's easier to sift in this in a short amount of time. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Again, I already weighed this out. I've got 200 grams here, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump it into the top of the sieve, give it a good shake, and then we will see how it breaks down for each of these sieves. Now, keep in mind that it was already pre-sieved, so everything should go through the first mesh, which is good because it did. All right, now I'm just gonna give it a shake. All right. Now, like I said, for the official data collection that I took, I shook each one of these for about 2.5 minutes to make sure that it was good and shaken up and good and separated out. So I had a quality data for each of these sieves. Now I don't know if you could tell, but the first thing I noticed was how much dust was in these samples. Keep in mind that this sand should have been blown from its source into the location that I dug it up at, and it should have, been pretty much untouched until my shovel touched it. So, again, there's a lot of dust in this, things that I think would have blown away had these been delivered by a wind process. Okay, so as I said, the first sieve, the one that is 3.35, everything went through that. Now we do have some things here that are between the size of 0.85 and 3.35. And I'm gonna put these out into this bucket right here, this little container. And you can see that there. And what I would do then is I have a stereoscope here, and I would look at this, just to try to identify if there's anything of interest in there. Most of it is going to be just larger grain quartz, and I found a lot of that. But again, some of the sites had a good bit of this size grain, and that's quite a ways to be blown for a couple miles. So still pretty interesting. Now the next two grain sizes, everything between 0.85 and 0.425, this is what most of the sand should be. So I did measure this, and I'm going to take it out and show you. Okay, so this again is 0.85 to 0.425, and we do have a good bit of this in here. This is what about 90% should be, but I was getting a good bit less from this. I'm not too particularly concerned with these next two. This next one again is just a little bit finer grain. This is between 0.425 and 0.15, and I'm just going to add this to that same container. But now the stuff that went through all of the different sieves, all the different meshes, is less than 0.15 millimeters. This is going to be some very, very, very fine grained dust. And just to show you, again, I'm going to go ahead and pour this into this clear plastic petri dish. And this is just some ultra fine grain that we found in these collections. And as you can see there, that's a good bit. This is a good bit of like super fine dust material that I found in a lot of these. You know, every one of my collections had a lot of this dust material. Now what I found ultra interesting as I was going through my samples, how much of the dust, like literally the dust, stuck to this plastic container. And this is what I'm after. This is what I'm going to look at. So give me just a minute. I'm going to show you the method that I took to look at this. Okay guys, so as you can see, this plastic petri dish is just coated in just the dust. I mean, we're talking ultra fine grain material that was left over from the process that I was doing. And again, this caught me kind of by surprise. It was kind of an aha moment. You know, we were looking at this ultra fine grain anyways, anything less than 0.15 millimeters, and there was all this dust left over in the dish itself. So what I wanted to do was collect that, and this is what I'm going to analyze, and this is how I'm going to do it. I have here just some distilled water, and all I did was drop a couple drops in. And we're going to shake that around. Get it good and dirty. I have here a slide cover, and we're just going to put a little drop on there. That's all I need. It's just one little drop. Way too much. All right, and now I'm going to put this cover on it. And this is what we're going to look at under the microscope. I'm going to get some of that water off of there, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like under the microscope. Okay guys, so there you have it. You know, like I said, I've got a lot of work still ahead of me, you know, investigating what's in this super fine ultra dust. I think it's going to be pretty important. I'm going to be looking for things like mica grains, super fine mica grains. Any kind of marine fossil I can find in there would be very helpful. And again, so thanks for coming along, guys. Like I said, I'll try my best to keep you up to date on what's going on. And thanks for coming along, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.